Thank you.
Is that why you
After I hit the sauce, take a shot on that one.
for the welcome? For this welcome?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll just do that.
That's I was just wondering. Sure.
Thanks. Stuff to sign. It's so quiet in here this morning.
Yeah, it is.
They're never this quiet.
Serious.
Oh, that's serious today. All right. Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the October 18th, 2016 Marion County Board of County Commissioners meeting. If you could all stand with us for the invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Commissioner McLean.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the blessings that you've given to us. You're a great and mighty God, and we praise you for the works that you do. Father, we pray that you would bless Marion, continue to bless Marion County. And Father, I pray for our first responders. We pray for our military folks who are here in the United States and also abroad. We pray that you would keep them safe today, that you'd watch over them, bless their families. Father, I just pray that you would give us wisdom and guidance today as we make decisions on behalf of the citizens. I pray that you would help us to think about what would be best for everyone involved, and we give you the praise and the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can we have roll call?
Chairman Bryant.
Here.
Vice Chairman Zalek.
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Here.
Commissioner McLean.
Here.
Commissioner Arnett.
Here.
All righty. We have a few announcements today. Today is October the 18th, and at 10 a.m. we will have a public hearing for consideration of an application for a commercial and residential solid waste collection service franchise for MGM Trash LLC. Immediately following that public hearing, we will have another public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance relating to golf cart usage on designated roads and streets in unincorporated Marion County. Also today at 1:30, we will convene a meeting of the Marion County Community Redevelopment Board. And then at 2 p.m., we will have our regularly scheduled zoning meeting. On October the 25th at 4 p.m., the Ocala-Marion County Transportation Planning Organization will have its regularly scheduled meeting, and those are scheduled for the fourth Tuesday of every month. And then we will be back here in these commission chambers on November the 1st at 9 a.m. for our first commission meeting of November, and those meetings are scheduled for the first and third Tuesday of every month. With that, we'll move into item number 1 on our agenda.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Moore with a second by Commissioner McLean. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. I am going to move our proclamations out of order, Commissioners. Judge Thompson has a full docket. I'm not sure if he was able to make it,
He is.
but we're going to go ahead and move up our Mediation Week proclamation and do that first. So I believe Debbie Clark, the Director of Case Management, and Thomas A. Messenger, if you are here, and then Judge Thompson, I see you back there now. If you could all come forward. Come on up, y'all. You got to join us up here. Don't be scared. Good to see you. Good morning. Absolutely. Good morning. Good to see you too. Good morning. Good morning.
You doing
How are you
right?
this morning? Good morning. All right. How are you? Good? Good to see you a lot. So today we're going to talk about Mediation Week. And we have a proclamation to present, and this is a proclamation by the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida. Whereas Marion County, Florida has been a leader in recognizing and promoting mediation as an alternative to litigation. And whereas administrative agencies, courts, and court-sponsored programs use mediation to effectively and efficiently resolve disputes. And whereas mediation is a voluntary, non-adversarial, and informed method of conflict resolution that empowers individuals and businesses to develop solutions to conflicts which are mutually agreeable and tailored to their particular needs. And whereas mediation is taught and practiced in many of our schools, not only as means of resolving individual disputes, but also as a means of achieving a more peaceful society. And whereas community-based mediation programs strengthen relationships among Marion County, Florida citizens by assisting in the resolution of neighborhood and community conflicts. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in us, do hereby proclaim that the week of October 16th through the 22nd, 2016, be known as Mediation Week. Duly proclaimed this 18th day of October 2016, signed by all 5 county commissioners and attested to by David Ellsperman, Clerk of the Court. So we are going to present you with this.
He's our mediation services coordinator.
Very good. And then I'm going to hand the microphone over to you and let you talk a little bit about it, Judge Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. I'm Judge Thompson. It's good to see you all here. To echo what our chairwoman was saying, the mediators are really instrumental in helping people achieve justice at the courthouse. In fact, they'll be coming with me in a couple minutes. We have small claims today where people come. Controversies under $5,000. Some people, that's the biggest thing in their lives. So they come to the courthouse, they seek justice, difficult cases, and it's the mediators that help them find middle ground, help them reach a resolution. I try to express my gratitude every time we have you in court. I mean it every time I say it. We couldn't function without our mediators. They come down, they volunteer, they're not compensated. Outside of Mr. Amseger getting them some coffee and some donuts and feeding them a little bit at lunchtime so they're not hungry. But that's pretty paltry compensation to come down, give their time, give their talent, and help people. Not always appreciated by the people that appear in front of them either. I try to get the people, the litigants, to pay them some respect. Most of the times they do. Sometimes some people can be difficult. But again, I appreciate your efforts. I would echo the words in the proclamation, and you have my gratitude, the gratitude of the justice system and the county commissioners. Thank you, Ms. Bryant.
Okay, thank you. And do we want to introduce everybody real quick while they're here?
You want to go down the line?
There you go.
I'm Tom Summersager. I'm the Mediation Services Coordinator, and we have some volunteers and other staff members here.
My name's Linda Schwambach, and I encourage all of you that are interested in volunteering to do so. It's very rewarding.
I'm Debbie Clark, Director of Case Management, and I second that.
My name is Henry Samuels. I see this as a way to give back to the community.
I'm Todd Teslino, the Chief Deputy Court Administrator, and I just want to thank the County Commission for your continued support of this program and our volunteers.
My name is George Kolesnik. I'm a volunteer mediator, and I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I do it up in Ocala here, and I also do it down in Lake County. We're down there.
Thank you all for the hours that you volunteer to our community and for what it sounds like most of the time is a job that you get thanked for, but sometimes a thankless job, and we just thank you for your service. Everybody squeeze in here. And I totally destroyed your name, so sorry about that. Thank you. Good to see you.
Hey, have a good day.
All right, our next proclamation is going to be our Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I believe Helen Green is here. You have anybody with you this morning? You don't? Okay. I'll stand with you. Welcome. So I'm sure everyone is aware that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Obviously, the pink. And anyway, we have some great events going on around the county, and I encourage you all to participate in anything that you can. So with that said, we have our proclamation by the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida. Whereas every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer, making this the most frequently diagnosed cancer among women in the United States. And whereas the American Cancer Society estimates by the end of 2016, approximately 13,430 new cases of breast cancer are expected to occur among Florida women, and about 2,570 will die from the disease. And whereas significant advances have been made in the fight against breast cancer through research and advocacy in 2009, including an increase in the 5-year survival rates for localized breast cancer from 74% to 99%. And whereas the 2.8 million breast cancer survivors in the United States today are a testament to courage, as well as to the importance of promoting awareness and continuing funding for research on breast cancer. And whereas various organizations have made significant contributions to promoting breast cancer awareness to many Florida communities through outreach, education, and screening programs, and have empowered women with the life-saving message of early detection and the importance of having regular mammograms. And whereas throughout the month of October, women are encouraged to make a renewed commitment to proper breast health by following their healthcare providers' recommendations for screening and to make mammogram appointments as needed. And whereas even though breast cancer is less common in men, about 1,690 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed among men in 2016, and about 440 men will die from the disease. And whereas throughout the month of October, organizations and health practitioners in Florida are encouraged to promote awareness of breast cancer in men and women. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in us, do hereby proclaim October 2016 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Duly proclaimed this 18th day of October 2016, signed by all 5 county commissioners and attested to by David Ellsperman, Clerk of the Court. So I'd like to give that to you. And I'm sure you have a few things to say, Helen, but before you do, I just want to do a little test here. So if you have a wife that has been diagnosed with breast cancer, stand up. If you have a family member that has been diagnosed with breast cancer, stand up. Stay, and those other ones, keep standing. If you have a friend that has been diagnosed with breast cancer, stand up. You can look around this room and you can see that almost everyone is standing. And so it's really one of those diseases that I think we have to continue to support funding and research for. All of our cancers are horrible. Cancer is a horrible, horrible disease. And I think we all need to make sure that we're supporting funding, and especially with breast cancer. I know that I've been touched by it several times with a couple of different friends, and it is devastating to the woman when it happens. There are a lot of things that they go through, but also family and friends. So I encourage you to keep Breast Cancer Awareness Month in your mind as we finish out the month. And if you have a chance to participate in anything in the community, do that. So you can all sit down now. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Ms. Green.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. As she said, I'm Helen Green. My role with the American Cancer Society is that I'm the incoming president for the Volunteer Leadership Board. And I actually am employed as a physician liaison by 21st Century Oncology here locally. The American Cancer Society has been committed to saving lives and celebrating life for more than 100 years and has been conducting and funding cancer research since 1946. The success of our research program is exemplified by the fact that 47 society-funded researchers have gone on to win a Nobel Prize. Here are just a few of the breast cancer research breakthroughs we've played a role in. Establishing mammography as the standard to fight breast cancer early, discovering life-saving treatments such as Herceptin and tamoxifen, discovering genes that cause breast cancer, deepening the knowledge of how an unhealthy lifestyle can increase a person's cancer risk, discovering the benefits of breast conserving surgery such as lumpectomy, plus radiation for treatment. October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. However, breast cancer affects us and the women and men we love year-round. The American Cancer Society is here around the clock, helping turn what we know about breast cancer into what we can do about it. In 2016, an estimated 246,660 women are expected to be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer, and an estimated 40,890 will die from the disease. So, as everyone has been aware of and is more aware of now, it's more important than ever that we continue to fight. We're very, very close to reaching more strides with research and discovering a cure for this disease. So I would encourage you, as Kathy said, to get involved, and if you have a chance to donate to the cause, please do so. We would certainly appreciate it.
And do we have any events coming up?
We had a Making Strides event this past Saturday. There were probably over 2,000 people there. Would have probably been heavier attended, except for I think there was a Gator homecoming. And there will be fundraising events throughout the community. People will continue to raise money for breast cancer awareness, and you should see things pop up in the newspaper, on the radio, and things like that. So thank you so much.
And then I'll also make one other little challenge. You guys, you have to wear pink one day this month. It's okay.
I can have a pink dress. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Commissioner Zalek for our last proclamation today.
Sandra Etheridge Day. Jim, you got some folks with you?
Good to see you again. Good to see you again. Good to see you.
Good morning.
We have a proclamation by the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County to recognize the active recreation and youth sports are an integral part of our community. Such events as the Southeastern Regional Tournament and the Babe Ruth World Series League provide substantial economic impact to Marion County and allow members of our community to participate in notable events. The participation of volunteers in our youth sports activities is essential to the success of these programs through the dedication of their own time, energy, money, providing mentoring, coaching, organization of tournaments, and the delivery of such events to our community. Whereas we recognize in recognition of the organizations such as the Florida Babe Ruth League and the members of their leadership, it is important to continue our relationship with the leagues and the sanctioning organizations who host and organize the events held here in Marion County. Sonda Etheridge, Secretary and District Commissioner Liaison for the Executive Board of the Florida Babe Ruth League, has been involved with youth sports in Marion County and has brought 8 signature events to the Rotary Sportsplex since 1998. Now, the Board of County Commissioners of Marion County declare October 22nd as designated as Sandra Etheridge Day, signed by all commissioners, and attested to by David Elsperman, Clerk of the Court. I'll present that to you. And Jim, a couple comments?
Thank you, Commissioner. Today we have Mr. Tom Reddy. He is our District Commissioner for Babe Ruth Florida Incorporated. Tom's very instrumental in getting these tournaments to come here, along with Sandra. So Sandra's out of town today, so we've asked Tom to come in and just say a couple of words.
Just thank you, number one, for Sandra. And she's being inducted into the Hall of Fame for the Southeastern Babe Ruth. She's been involved since 1988. She's brought 4 World Series to this town, so she's done a lot for youth sports, and we appreciate you.
Tom, thank you, guys.
Yeah, he doesn't have you there to hide him. Thanks for all your help. I know it's a lot of work. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Tom, how are you? Congratulations.
All right, that's going to take us into item number 2 on our agenda, and this will be general public comment. Please remember, all members of the public wishing to speak during the general public portion of the agenda will be limited to 2 minutes to make the request or presentation, and will be heard following scheduled requests, which are limited to 5 minutes. For unscheduled requests, there are comment cards that you could have filled out in the lobby beforehand. We will take those first, and then anyone else in the public who wishes to speak after that will be allowed to speak as well. So first on our list today, you know what, we could go ahead and do that. Before we go into public comment, I am going to deviate, and we do have a walk-on item from the sheriff. He is here, so we're going to go ahead and let him go ahead and come forward. Thank you.
Do I need to make a motion for
Yeah,
consideration?
make a
or
motion
can
for
you make-
consideration first.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion for consideration of the walk-on item.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Moore to consider the walk-on item. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. All right, Sheriff, you're up.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, good morning. Emery Gainey, Sheriff, Marion County. First, thank you for allowing me to have this item walked on. It's more informational this morning, and want to present this so you have the opportunity to ask questions and consider it, and we'll be back for you at a later time, perhaps for formal action. As you may recall, back in July, in the first budget presentation, July 14th, our budget director told me specifically was the date. He remembers that because that was his birthday. That we came before you and we talked about some issues that we were dealing with at the Sheriff's Office involving infrastructure that were at a critical need, specifically our phone system and that infrastructure and the switches. We have clearly determined that entire system is at end of life in 2017. It is critical to the continual operations of this organization. Looking at your 1 cent sales tax when that was presented prior to my time, there was one particular item in there for an additional aircraft. What we have done is gone back, put pen to paper. We've switched out that aircraft for this phone system. The great thing is we'll be able to do it within that dollar amount while increasing that cost by 1 cent, quite frankly, so it'll work out perfectly well. We've got a system that the wiring and the infrastructure was put in the 1980s. There are probably still some Cat 3 within those infrastructures wiring that needs to be upgraded to Cat 6. We're still dealing with some switches from that time frame that, as mentioned, just simply at the end of life next year. And this system cannot be supported. The manufacturer's telling us, be lucky if we even get parts for it. So our proposal is to start a replacement, not only in the main operations center, but this includes the jail, the maintenance facility, and all 12 of our district offices out there. We looked at a local vendor who has provided us a proposal for this project. We'll be able to get them to sharpen their pen and get it down to a reasonable cost from their first offer, which we really appreciate. This out there for about $1.47 million, $1.4 million. Here's what would happen. They'll provide this solution as a service to us, which means when we sign this contract, they'll just completely install this system. It'll take them approximately 9 months. They're saying 6 to 9, but reality, we think it's going to be 9 months. We will not owe them 1 penny until the system is fully operational, fully installed. They'll pay all the upfront costs for the switches, the installation, the wiring, everything. At the end of that 9-month period, 6 to 9 month period when it's installed, the county would then, or the sheriff's office on that contract would still start making payments. We had looked at 2 solutions, a 36-month and a 60-month solution. We chose to go with the 60-month solution, and there's a reason behind that. The monthly payments over that 60 months will also include all of the maintenance and support for that 5-year period. Should anything happen to the system, it will be covered and will not cost any of us in the county 1 additional cents. It's not a lease, but it's actually a purchase solution. So at the end of that 5 years, we have 1 or 2 options. If we choose to then purchase the system outright, it will cost us $1. That will be built in the contract. If for some reason decide you don't like that solution, a person who's sitting in the office of sheriff, they can walk away at the end of that 5-year period. It is a solution that, according to the manufacturers, give us between 15 and 18 years. I would strongly suggest, obviously, with all the infrastructure that be purchased at $1. At that point, you would start paying a maintenance fee, a yearly maintenance fee from that point on. If I did it in 36 months, we've done the math, and we'll start paying maintenance after 36 months, and it actually costs me more money on those 2 years of maintenance than to run it out 5 years and not pay maintenance until the 5-year period. So that's why we're recommending we do it in 5 years. You should have before you the first 1-year proposal. We listed 2 columns, one being the current approved use of those sales tax as you approved prior to my arrival, and the second column shows our proposal. Sort of the bottom line, you'll notice that we are proposing with this rearrangement that we'll actually spend $86,000 less in the first year with this solution than originally proposed. But it does remove the aircraft from that original proposal, and we're able to do this at no additional cost that's there. Madam Chair, that's my general proposal. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to address them at this point. Okay. Well, let me throw one in before you ask. I think maybe it's an important one. You may notice that I've asked and conferred with both sheriff candidates. They're both here this morning. We have discussed this in full, the needs, the future needs of this organization. We are all 3 in compliance that this must be done. They're in total agreement, and again, they're here if there's any questions. But given that we have a race coming up, I thought it was appropriate that we discuss this jointly. And both of them are in full compliance that this is an appropriate way to go, and that the aircraft under their administration, if elected, either of those, is not an item that they would wish to have as well.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff Gainey. All right, Commissioner Steve, any questions for Sheriff Gainey? All right, we're gonna, because this is a walk-on item, we have to allow some public comment. So at this time, if there's anybody in the public who would like to speak regarding this item, please come forward at this time.
Hi, I'm Janet Barrow, P.O. Box 370, Dunellen. And this is about, I guess, a new notification system and emergency response. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, this is actually the entire phone system for the organization as well.
Yes, for the sheriff's office.
Well, I think y'all better get prepared to have a good emergency response system, because that Sable Trail pipeline's coming through. There's a lot to consider. Dunellen is underprepared. The sheriff's office, when we had a meeting, they had a representative there, and Sable Trail had told them that there had been no pipeline explosions or gas incidents in Florida, where I can quickly cite 2, and I know there are many more, many more, like Perry, the compressor station exploding, and that 150-foot section of pipe down in South Florida that came out near I-95. And then they also said that they were told by Sable Trail that it only came above ground in 2 places, in one place in Marion County, the compressor station, but there's a mainline valve up in Lake Tropicana. So y'all just need to be aware of all the risks. This thing is going through near sinkholes, near karst window, and close to the river and near our schools. So that's what I wanted to say. And I'll say more later when I get my public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Barrow. Is there anyone else in the public who would like to speak regarding the phone system for the sheriff's office? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment portion of this and bring it back to the board for consideration.
Do you want to have the candidates come forward and speak?
No, I think if they had wanted to speak, they would have come forward. Yeah. I see them out there, and I figured if they didn't agree with what the sheriff said, they would have come forward, so. All right.
Chair, I mean, the only thing that I probably need to
This is information only though, right?
Right.
Today, so, I mean.
I was just wondering if it was our kind of same vendor that we're looking at too on the county side.
CenturyLink specifically is who we're looking at. This proposed solution is through.
So I was just hoping that we could, I don't know if it's cost effective, better to work together. I'm just not sure. Maybe there's not an opportunity to. We're planning on doing our phone system.
Madam Chair, of course, we have not spoke specifically to your group of folks. However, we have understood from CenturyLink that there have been some discussions, and the solution that we propose is surely one that can be duplicated, and probably there will be the opportunity for some savings if we go forward with this, and the county later dovetail on it. I don't think you have to stop this one to get there, but from talking to this company, if that's the selected vendor, I think you would see that this solution would probably provide you a better cost in the long run.
Okay. So, and it's also for consideration as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
But I think I would like to make sure that our folks and you all get together and at least have a conversation about, is there any synergy created between, maybe trying to be able to do, because we're wanting to do some of the same stuff, just maybe make sure we have that conversation before. Sheriff, are we actually approving the, are we approving the allocation today too, are we approving the transfer of funds? Not that's the budget request. Are we doing a budget request today? I don't see that. That's not on the agenda.
No, Madam Chair, we did not. We thought it appropriate to present the proposal to you, have you an
Okay, and then
opportunity to
you'll bring
review
that
it,
back.
and then we'll bring that back.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't remember seeing anything in the budget amendment, so, so I'm okay with, I'm okay with what you want to do. I think it's appropriate, and then, and then when you bring your budget request back, maybe we'll have some more questions, but I think at this point, it's fairly well laid out, so.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Arnett. Any further discussion on the motion?
I just want David, can you have some of your folks coordinate with ours to make sure that?
Already sent an email.
Well, yeah, I was just curious if the same payment program would work for the county side of things, so. Thank you, sir.
All right. Seeing there's no further discussion, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Sheriff.
Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. All right, now that will take us into our general public items. And first on our list is Carl Oltz.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Carl Oltz.
We'll make copies.
Carl Oltz, 4050 Southeast 39 Circle. Thank you, Commissioners, for your support over the last 11 years as your radio system manager, 911 management director, 911 coordinator, and public safety communications director. I have done my best to promote efficiency and look out for the best interest of Marion County. Under my direction, the 911 Management Division was able to work with our cities to consolidate and centralize addressing throughout the county. The radio system supports many departments and allows them to work more efficiently and safely in their daily operations. They are interoperable with each other as well as surrounding cities, counties, states, and federal agencies. The Communications Center has gone through 3 consolidations and now is responsible for call taking and dispatching of all law and fire departments, except for the City of Ocala Police Department. Through these consolidations, taxpayers have saved over $850,000. The center is dual accredited in fire and EMS dispatch, which makes them one of approximately 25 centers worldwide. The center is also law accredited by FLAWTAC and was one of the first non-law enforcement centers to receive this accreditation. The center handled over 700,000 emergency and non-emergency calls last year and are on track to handle over 800,000 calls this year. One reason for my request is to speak is to assure you that the citizens of Marion County, that the staff in these 3 divisions work hard every day to assist and protect their customers, citizens, and the visitors in Marion County. I've worked for 3 previous county administrators and had a great working relationship with all of them. I have tried to keep all my department budgets flat and work as efficiently as possible. In a meeting with department directors this past January, we were asked for loyalty and trust and to work together. With this being said, I wanted to provide the real story of my departure. On Friday, September 23rd, I was notified of a meeting with my supervisor for Monday morning, September 26th at 8 a.m. The subject was meeting with Carl Oltz, which I accepted. On Monday morning, I arrived and was escorted to the conference room by my supervisor and the HR director. At that point, I was advised that the county administrator would arrive in a few minutes. When the county administrator arrived, I was advised that I was an at-will employee, which I was, and that my services were no longer needed. I was then advised that I needed to resign or be terminated. The county administrator then turned to my supervisor and said, "Let me know what decision he makes," and then turned and left the room. What happened to the loyalty and trust? Sure didn't go both ways. What happened to my 30 days notice, as all senior management are required to give to the county? I wasn't afforded that same opportunity. I then asked my supervisor what policy I had violated and was told, "You do not violate any policy, that I am an at-will employee and that I can be terminated at any point." I was then told that I had to make a decision immediately. I requested time to consult with my wife, but that request was denied. Had I done something so bad? Had I done anything illegal? No. So what did I do wrong? Because I had almost 11 years with the county, I advised my supervisor and the HR director that I would retire instead of the other two options I was given. The request was discussed and was approved by my supervisor and the HR director. I was then told that I would be escorted to my office to gather my belongings. While gathering my belongings and being supervised by the HR director, my supervisor was meeting with my senior staff and other departments, advising them that I came in the morning and advised them I was retiring. Although that was my ultimate decision, it was not true, as I was only given the opportunity to resign or be terminated. I would respectfully request that the letter that I was given, which is the one from the county, from HR, that the letter I was given be changed to reflect that I did not resign, but retired. So to my staff, who I was not allowed to visit or to speak to, I did not abandon you. I was forced to leave without being able to explain the full and true story. Also to my staff, good luck, and continue to do the excellent job that you do every day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Olds. And thank you for your many years of service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Graybill?
Richard Graybill, 8519 Southeast 158th Street. It's
Good morning.
amazing that this gentleman comes up here and says something like this. I really do admire you people for your abilities, and I mean that in all sincerity. God has really blessed each one of you with really great talent, and I admire you for being in those positions. My part today has been on my mind for quite some time. I am here because of Ezekiel 3 and 33 as far as 2 chapters in the Bible. But I'm also here as a veteran. I don't want to call myself a citizen, because when I say I'm a citizen, then I've changed it from being under a de jure constitutional government to a de facto government. Each and every place that I've gone and listened to those running for office, I've only seen one person that has truly stood for the Constitution. The others I spoke to before, and I actually gave them the answer to the question that I was going to ask them, so they would not be embarrassed in public, so that they could say at least they knew a little bit about the Constitution. One was very dogmatic, that she was going to take and that she was willing to learn the Constitution, but she's been working in the system for years. Each and every person takes an oath of fidelity. Most of you just like to say, I take an oath. It's an oath of fidelity to God, because, and I thank God for this, every one of you up here have professed that you are a Christian, that you believe in the Bible and things of this country. Our rule of law comes from the Bible, mainly the first 5 books. But on this, you each have been required to know the Constitution and to sign an oath that you would be with the Constitution. So I took the liberty to send a certified letter to a department asking for the oath and for the bond numbers for certain individuals that I knew that was functioning under de facto law. One person has even been quoted as saying that you're working a corporation. Now, I understand and know that most of you are, and most people working in the government works don't realize that the upper echelon has actually moved them out from under the Constitution to de facto law to working in corporations. But that still does not release any of you from the oath that you have taken. And when we, and I know each of you, have run a business or have had other people working for you, when you pay them, don't you expect them to give you service and duty for their work? I do. I am one of we the people. My mother taught me this in the 50s. Always speak to your people that work in the elected or on contract with the government as we the people, because you are working for us. So I sent one of our programs here in Marion County a certified letter of 3 people that I knew that did not do correctly on their job what they're supposed to do. They took a situation that was a prohibitive type of action, followed through as though it was a criminal case, and took that person, and one of them has not even trained efficiently to make it safe for the people he was dealing with. I sent a certified letter to the head of the department to make sure that they would give me those people's oath and their bond number and bond person. I received nothing from them. You know why? Because those people are functioning as a corporation. You are not a corporation, even though you may think that you are. You are under the Constitution of the United States of America and the Florida Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. Graybill. Ron Rack.
Ron Rack, 10580 Southeast 131st Place, Ocklawaha. Mr. Grable and I, we're not in collusion here. I swear we're not.
Hey, I don't even know that man.
It's crazy stuff. I don't even have his phone number or anything like that. But he kind of started me off where I'm going to go here. We do have a rule of law. We have an ultimate, and we've talked about this till I'm almost tired of talking about it. The preamble of the Constitution says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity." Posterity, very important word, means future generations. Told you guys this before. The founders were looking ahead to us when they wrote our documents. And the point of this is because I keep hearing these people say, well, things are different today than what they were back then, and so we need to fix the Constitution to today. And my train of thought is, well, what basic human rights have changed throughout the history of the world? None. We still need to eat, still need to have a place to live, still need to have water, and we have all of these God-given natural rights to do those things without any infringement by government. And when government infringes upon those rights, it's actually the duty and the responsibility of the people to take whatever actions necessary to put government in their place. You know, the word tranquility means peace. Right now, I can tell you, there is no peace. Not real peace. Listen, when the people fear the government because, oh, if I do this, the cops are going to pull me over. If I do that, they're going to fine me for this. They're going to fine me for that. Well, you can only have 4 chickens in your yard. You can't have a rooster. No, we can't have that because it might crow in the morning. Seriously? What about owls? What do we do with them? How about cows that make noises? What about just natural noise? Seriously? I mean, who makes up these stupid laws that violate my constitutional rights and the rights of the people that are here? And I've got to tell you, people are tired of it. They're tired of it. You know, it's interesting, and I've written you guys some letters, and that tax challenge letter, you know, the 30 days is almost up on that. And I wasn't going to bring this up. I was just going to let the 30 days pass. But you realize that silence is consent. Silence is consent. After that 30 days, my name better be off that tax roll. I'll tell you right now, or we will go to court, and we'll let a jury of 12 decide. You know, the other thing is, you know, you guys never respond to questions. You never respond to emails, and I understand why. Because everything that you say can be held against you in a court of law. I get it. I find that very distressing. If everything is above board and honest and transparent, why would you be worried about that? Why? You know, I have no problem being honest with anybody. And you know, I'm the type of person that I'll trust someone until I've given a reason not to trust them. To be honest with you guys, I don't trust you from here to the door. And that's difficult for me to say, because I think somewhere down there that y'all have to be good people somewhere. Let me just throw this question out here. I just kind of wrote this down. Can any of you name even one example of protecting and defending someone's constitutional rights? Even one in the time that you've been held in office. And I'm not talking about, and I'm talking about a real right. You know, not some made-up thing, but really protecting and defending constitutional rights of the people. And if you can't, then you're not doing your job. You know, this actually gives me stomach pains and headaches, because, you know, I see people that are getting ready. They can't afford to pay their property tax. I was talking to somebody yesterday. They're almost 3 years behind. I told them, I said, you know what? I'm going to give you this tax challenge. I'm giving this tax challenge letter to everybody I know. So you can expect a lot more of them, because I'm waking people up left and right to challenge your right, your authority to steal property for non-payment of taxes, because that's what it is. And with that, I'll bid you guys good day.
Thank you, Mr. Rack. Roger Nectel.
Kathy, one thing.
Mr. Graybill, I'm Mr. Oh, thank you. I was like, you can't come back up again. Thank you.
Good morning. Roger Nectel, 12727 Southeast 97 Terrace in beautiful Summerfield. Well, the first thing I want to mention is at the end of the meeting last time, I said we all should pray that the storm stays out in the ocean. And I don't know what we did, but we certainly didn't do any harm, because it stayed out in the ocean.
We got
Otherwise,
lucky.
it would have been a disaster. It would have sort of impacted on your new planning for new development and everything else in this world, you know. And it appears that FEMA is not giving money from now on. They're lending you money that has to be paid back. That's the way I got it across from the different channels I listen to. They actually issue you a grant. So anyway, why I'm here. At the last meeting, Commissioner Bryan brought up about raising the employees' salaries. And Carl said, wait a minute, we got to think about, they have to be proven, you know. We're going to go on some sort of a merit program. I just want to remind you, for the last 7 years, most of the folks haven't had a raise. Cheerios was $1.69, it's now $3.29. Cornflakes was less than $1.69, is now $4.50. We all know why that is. We don't take cornflakes, we take it in our gasoline. So anyway, does any of you folks go to management school, personnel management? Do you, Carl?
What's that?
Do you go to personnel management at all?
Personnel management school?
Yes.
Where's that at?
I have FAC does that.
They have management courses. They may not call them personnel management. Have you taken any management courses?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I worked for a utility for 34 years, and every 3 years I had to take a course in management. And every 3 years I learned something. And I think we got to be careful what we say. You have employees that have been really dedicated. And really, every time you cut people in the different facilities, the others come up with ingenuity and ideas to maintain the systems. And then I don't think you're giving them the credit they deserve. I probably had about 10 other things I wanted to say. Oh, at the last meeting, you gave awards for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Seems there's not many people that work here more than 20 years for one reason or another. I mean, we lost about 800 people in 7 years, and employees seem to be leaving quicker. You know, we're falling into a pit here. Okay. Next item. Clay Electric. Being I worked for an electric company, whenever there's outages, whenever there's trees that fall, whenever there's storms, that's the most hazardous time for the electrical world. And there are people, especially in rural areas, that are really ingenuity. They're inventors. They'll have a portable generator and they'll put a double male plug on it so they can plug it into the generator, and they plug it right into an outside outlet, and that feeds the whole house. It's limited, but it feeds the whole house. And if you're not careful, it feeds the lines leaving the house. And many a person has been killed because of that. So, number one, the electric company wants to get that electric back as quick as possible because the meter starts to spin and the money starts to come in. But number one has to be safety. I've been very blessed. I worked for a company in New York for 34 years and we had no fatalities. Sometimes I used kind of weird things, like I would say to the fellas before they would go out, by the way, if you don't use your test equipment, and I would risk the Fisher and the different, I can't even think of the name of the test equipment anymore. We're going to put that in your coffin so you'll have that to remember us by. And, you know, I got in trouble over that. But the thing is, we got to keep people thinking that they could die. Okay, last but not least, do I still have time? 2 weeks ago, Ocala Magazine, can I pass it this way or can? Okay. I used to be a lot more stable. This is an article, and it talks about Ocala is the worst rated district for bringing up schools in the United States. First of all, they're saying there was a rating of 200. I would have thought Ocala thank you, it wasn't a small place, but I would thought there were more than 200 cities bigger than Ocala, but that's only a guess. But here we are spending a lot of money on tourism. And because of a company in New York that said, you guys have the worst schools and the worst situations for kids, they're not going to be coming down here. I don't know if anybody read that. This is not this past Sunday, it was the prior Sunday. Now, I don't know why they published that. It's only an opinion, but it certainly doesn't do tourism any good.
Mr. Nettel, did you, by any chance, did you look at the backup data to that? It was like North Dakota and South Dakota and some other place in the country that were the highest rated.
Yeah.
With all due respect, who the heck's moving there?
I'm just talking about Ocala. Who's moving to Ocala now?
A lot of people.
Less
Then when?
than before this article came out.
I don't think so.
Okay. I stand corrected. We will see. Well, thank you very much. We all look really pretty today.
Where's your pink?
I do have pink at times.
Okay, I want a picture.
Yeah, well,
Next time you come.
You're never going to see my panties, so you're never going to.
Mr. Nectel. Okay, Mr. Nectel.
TMI.
That was a little too much information. I'm going to let you go sit down. All right. That is everybody who signed up ahead of time. And at this point, I'm going to get to everyone else, but we have a 10 o'clock. We have 2 public hearings at 10 o'clock. We're going to try to work through the people that were here that each have 2 minutes. And I'm going to start with Lily Barron.
Lily Barron, 12525 Northeast 30th Court, Anthony, Florida, 32617. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Linda Littlewolf came before you several times, and she said animal abuse can be an indicator of other forms of violence, such as domestic violence. I don't know if you all are aware of it, but the man who beat and stabbed this dog was arrested again Sunday. Domestic abuse. I went down to the police department and I got the report. There was blood in every room in the house. But I wanted to come here today to thank each and every one of you for passing Molly's Law. Commissioner Arnett, I want to thank you for your vote on passing the Animal Abuse Registry. Commissioner McLean, thank you for your words of wisdom, acknowledging that the residents of Marion County really wanted Molly's Law, but more importantly, that it was needed for our county. Commissioner Zalek, thank you for asking the hard questions. I appreciate the questions that you asked. I was aware of your concerns about Molly's Law, and I appreciate that you brought them to the surface. Commissioner Bryant, I thank you for cracking the whip, doing the details, getting the words right. I'd also like to thank Debbie Horowitz and the staff of Animal Services for their valuable input and research that they all did on the Animal Abuse Registry. And you, Commissioner Moore, there aren't enough words to tell you what a great job you did. What you did for Marion County residents and for the animals of Marion County, the people thank you, and because of you, sir, you are a true hero. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily.
And Molly
Looks
wants
like
a
Molly's
picture
doing
with
very good.
all
Well,
of
we
you.
would love to have a picture with Molly.
Come on, Mom.
She's got on the appropriate color today, too.
Yes, she does.
Come here, Miss Molly. Hey, pretty girl. You have to be a picture, Lily. Oh, yeah. Come on. Hey, girl. And you've done a wonderful job with her. A wonderful, wonderful job with her. So, okay.
Hey, Molly, sit. Want to sit? Better be quick. Molly, sit.
Yeah. That's a hard job.
Thanks. Thank you. Stan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Mr. Moore, you are a hero. Thank you.
Love you, Miss Molly. Have a good day.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay, with that, it is the 10 o'clock hour, and so we're going to have to come out of public comment. As I had said earlier, we do have 2 public hearings that we need to work through today. Those of you who still wish to give public comment, you will have the opportunity to do that after we work through our public hearings. Okay. So our first public hearing today is going to be a public hearing to consider an application for a solid waste commercial and residential collection service franchise, MGM Trash. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of publication?
I have a proof of publication of legal ad number 000897760, entitled Notice of Public Hearing for Award of Solid Waste Collection Service Franchise for the Collection, Transportation, and Disposal of Commercial and Residential Solid Waste, published in the Star Banner newspaper on October 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2016.
Very good, thank you. And you are not Mike Sims.
No, I'm not. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Larry Starkey, and I'm the Solid Waste Operations Manager. And as stated, we're here to consider, pursuant to Marion County Code of Ordinances, Section 16, or Chapter 16, Sections 48 and 49, the application for solid waste commercial and residential collection service franchise for MGM Trash LLC. Solid Waste wants to advise Commission that the applicant has met all the requirements pursuant to the sections 48 and 49. They have demonstrated the resources and the financial capability to implement this service. I also would like to say that currently we have 15 active franchise in the county, 3 commercial, 12 both residential and commercial, and we are currently servicing about 39% of eligible residents. And with that, I will open to any questions or any comment.
Okay, Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff? Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay. Would they like to say anything? Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you, Mike. At this point, we will turn over our public hearing to public comment. Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak regarding this item? All right, seeing as there is none, we will close public comment for this public hearing and bring it back to the board for consideration.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Zalek with a second by Commissioner McLean for approval. Any further discussion on the motion?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to make a comment. Normally, I've asked the applicants if, they're prepared and all that, but certainly Mike and Larry have started to add that into their presentations when they make them, and so that question was answered for, satisfactory by me. I just don't want somebody that
Think that we didn't
I actually
treat them
asked
the same.
that question, think that I had stopped doing that. But again, thank you for providing that information.
You're welcome. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Larry. All right, as there's no further discussion, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. You have your franchise.
Go to work.
Yeah, you can go to work now. You don't have to stay. You can stay if you want to. All right. Our next public hearing will be to consider the adoption of an ordinance to allow for the operation of golf carts on certain roads within the Island Lake Estate subdivision. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of publication?
I have a proof of publication of legal ad number A000897772 entitled Notice of Public Hearing, published in the Star Banner newspaper on October 7, 2016.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning. Tracy Straub, County Engineer for the record. Excuse me.
I hear that.
So at the previous board meeting, we shared with you some findings regarding a request for the golf cart usage in and around the Island Lake Estate subdivision. Before you, you have a ordinance that provides for golf cart usage on certain roads around that subdivision. And at the end of your agenda, you will see the map showing you what those roads and road limits are.
All right, Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, Tracy, we just talked about hours of operation. You mentioned that to me yesterday.
Okay, so under this document, it allows for daytime use. And then the only restriction is that the operator of the golf cart cannot be under the age of 14.
Okay.
Okay, so we put daytime use in there?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that they wanted,
Before sun,
And after,
I'm sorry.
After that, they have to have lights and stuff.
Right.
Correct. So golf carts may be operated between the hours before sunrise or after sunset if equipped with, at a minimum, the headlights, the brake lights, the turn signals, and a windshield.
okay. All right, Commissioner Arnett?
Yeah, I have a question basically for the board and for our engineer. Tracy is our engineer, and we asked for a recommendation from a professional, which we employ professionals, and her recommendation was that we shouldn't do this. And I, as a background as a private investigator, when you interact golf carts, which are very low profile, with large vehicles, you create a tremendous hazard. I don't know how, in good conscience, we can allow golf carts to interact on public roads with large vehicles. It just seemed a very dangerous, hazardous situation.
And I appreciate your concern, Commissioner. I've spent some time out in that area, and I can tell you the traffic volume is not very high. And it's just the one particular area that goes around the lake, and mostly so that the neighbors can go back and forth with their golf carts. I personally don't think that there's a hazard.
Well, Commissioner Moore had his hand up.
Commissioner
question.
Moore?
You mentioned that Tracy said that she doesn't recommend this. So Tracy, I spoke to you yesterday. I asked some of the same stuff, and you didn't seem to not be in favor of this. So do you want to clarify, because, I mean, I could see if we're like talking about cars going 55, but they don't go 55 in that neighborhood, do they? Or shouldn't, I should put
No,
it.
sir, they shouldn't. No, sir, they shouldn't. As golf cart usages go, we prefer golf carts in golf cart settings, on trails, on golf cart pathways. Outside of that, it really is a discretionary decision of the board.
And Commissioner, we also, Tracy's recommendation was also based on the larger community when
Right.
they did that ingress
Because-
roads, other
right.
roads. Tracy, I would assume that it's safe to say that the map we have now is significantly safer than the previous map.
We reduced to a much more limited area, and we will put up the signage denoting that area that has golf cart
Because
usage.
you look at the villages on top of the world, those type of areas, they have golf carts and cars interact, and I've, you know, other than few places where I saw some people driving the golf carts kind of erratic, you know, there was never been a problem, so, I mean.
There has been.
Well, I think the difference too, Commissioner, is that people know when they're going into that kind of community. And
Right.
so I think what Tracy's doing with the signage to make sure people are aware
Are
of
aware that it's a golf cart community.
surely
exactly.
makes it much safer.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? All right. Seeing as there's no further discussion, is there anyone in the public who would like to speak regarding this item? Come on down. The price is right.
Roger Nectel again. Did you say age 14?
That is the statute limitation, Florida statute.
See, in most senior citizens communities are more than 14 in age. Usually a 14 doesn't have a license. I think you open yourself to a problem. I mean, I just think it's a general problem. First of all, I have no use for 14-year-olds, but that's just in my own opinion. They can be wild. Used to be only boys, but now girls are just as wild and reckless. And we're trying to keep a safe society, and I don't know, I think you're putting your foot in it to allow
Mr.
for-
Nectel, remember, you were a 14-year-old once.
Yes.
You
And
wouldn't
I
have
was
liked
allowed to
yourself
drive
then
a
either.
tractor at 12. But if I didn't do a good job, I got killed.
There you go.
You know, today we don't have any rules about when you break the law. And, you know, when we live in a world where people sue. I've never sued and never been sued. But people do sue, and 14-year-olds running somebody over is a bad scene. Bad for the 14-year-old, too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dominic Furley, 7 Chestnut Drive, Source Spring Shores. I'm not concerned about the age. I've seen more 14-year-olds, more educated or better drivers than some of the 20-year-olds. My problem is, Marion County is not really set up for golf carts. Roads are narrow. We don't have sidewalks in most of the area. We have children walk on the streets. They're mostly used for all type of conveyances, including semis. And main cities that have built their cities around golf carts, like Peachtree, Georgia. I don't know if any of you have been there, but it's a golf cart community, exclusively. They have roads, and it's really nice set up. Then, of course, we all know the villages. All of them have deaths every year from golf cart accidents. And now we're going to put them on Marion County roads at the maximum speed of 15 miles an hour, and that needs to be really stressed. The maximum speed for a golf cart is 15 miles an hour. After 15 miles an hour, it becomes a low-speed vehicle, which requires a license plate and other equipment. And that's in the same area that you were talking about. But there is a difference between the two of them. Also, they don't require insurance. I don't know if anybody realized that. Who's going to pay the medical bills? Who's going to pay for damages when there's an accident? How much is this going to cost this county to maintain police escort, ambulances, and the medical bills in Monroe? It's going to be a community, which is a community hospital. This is all going to come back on the taxpayers. And if you pass this one, oh my God, Marion Oaks is going to be right in there. Silver Spring Shores is going to be in there. We're going to have so many problems. We just don't have, this community is not designed for them. Like I said, Peachtree, the villages, South Carolina, they all have fatalities. And those are adults riding them in most of those cases. We already have problems with golf carts, mini bikes, scooters running down the streets. The police can't handle it all. We don't have a police department go around police streets. They're here to take care of major...
Mr. Farrelly, I'm sorry, your time is up.
Oh, little red light, huh? Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak regarding item 6B? Good morning.
Good morning, Virginia Gale, 14715 Southwest 39th Circle, Ocala, Florida. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, neighbors. I, too, am a little bit concerned about the golf carts because if this is passed, then as the gentleman says, Marion Oaks going to be asking, and Marion Oaks definitely, we don't have the convenience to have golf carts running on the streets because we don't have a lot of sidewalks, and the children who are coming from school, they walk in the streets. And the cars we are already having problem with the cars racing up and down the streets. So that would be terrible for Marion Oaks and Marion County. Thank you.
And I think what you have to consider is that this is a very, very, very small, concentrated area, not with any major roads or anything like that. And so it's a huge difference from any of the other communities that have been brought up. And very, very low traffic. So it's quite a bit different than any of those other areas.
So it would be only restricted into that area?
Yes,
And
it's
not
restricted
spreading.
into this area, that just the
On this
road
one
around
road.
the lake, basically. That's it. And it's mostly for the neighbors to go to each other's houses, so they don't have to get in their cars when they're not going by boat.
As long as it doesn't come in Marion Oaks.
Nope. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak regarding this item? Is he going to protest?
Yeah.
Hello, Commissioners. Mark Obenauer, Ocala, Florida, 2621 Southeast 45th Street. Been going out to Island Lake. It's a small lake. It's a private lake. It's got a road that accesses around it. Some of it's paved, some of it's dirt road. The main roads, the main throw-throughs are many blocks away. You have 318 and 315. This is a very confined area. It's not a Marion Oaks, it's not the shores. There are 2 connecting roads coming out of there, if I'm not mistaken. And the signs will be posted. It's strictly for the neighborhood around the lake only. Not driving to the dump, not to the store, just around the lake. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Nobody else wants to come and speak? I'm looking at one person in particular. All right, seeing as there's none, we will close the public comment portion of this public hearing and bring it back to the board for consideration. Commissioner Moore.
I'll go ahead and make a motion for approval since it is a rural area and it's very limited use. I don't think there's going to be a problem, so motion for approval.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Moore with a second by Commissioner McLean. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Arnett dissenting. Thank you, Tracy. All right, that's going to take us back into our agenda. And we are still in public comment. I believe next up is Janet Barrow.
Let's see. Did I pass these around? My name is Janet Barrow, P.O. Box 370, Denellen. And I'm here to talk about Sable Trail to bring y'all a little update on some recent information and such that's been going on. Sable Trail mischaracterizes the truth. I'm sending out 2 things that are recent things that have happened. I came across the results of that Salem, Pennsylvania explosion, and there's an article there, and it addresses the fact that the the Spectra Energy, who's parent company of Sable Trail, now it's Enbridge because they got bought out, but they own that pipeline up in Pennsylvania, and they had it inspected back in, I think, 2012, and they said the corrosion was not significant enough to be a concern about. Well, now that the investigation of that explosion has happened, they found that it had 5 times what the amount of corrosion that the engineers had thought that it had. Now, granted, 4 years have passed, but I mean, this article calls it a game changer. I think that's the one I sent around to you. There's another article that brings up environmental conditions such as the wet, dry, how do they put it, intensive wet, dry cycling on this particular site. Well, everybody in Florida knows about the wet, dry ponds and the wetlands here. We're full of wetlands, and this pipeline is going through wetlands. I cautioned them about the wet, dry ponds and the gumbo clay and the karst and everything in our terrain in Florida, but they seem to blow it all off. I also brought a copy of an excerpt from an easement, and I want you to pay attention to the highlighted part there, because it says that this Sable Trail pipeline is for the transportation of natural gas and all byproducts thereof, which could be natural gas liquids, or any liquids, gases, or substances which can be transported through pipelines under, upon, over, and through the following described lands. So that's in most, that wording is in most of the easements. There's one person that I know that's trying to, she hadn't settled yet, but she's limiting that. But this brings it to, I mean, they could end up converting these pipelines to oil or these natural gas liquids. And even the natural gas pipelines are not entirely methane, which they claim are just would just go up into the air, burn off, and cause the explosions. But there are other components which they use those pig launchers and those pigs to go through and clean out. And from what I hear of people that have worked in the industry, that's pretty nasty, toxic stuff. The pig launcher comes out, I believe, at places like that mainline valve and the compressor station. I may not be correct on that, but that one compressor station that they call the Denellen compressor station is actually over on State Road 200 near Bel Lago, near the river, near Spruce Creek Preserve, near Stump Knockers, you know. So, and it is in lowlands. If you look at the LiDAR imagery, that's very low land and karstic as well. Now, I think that Marion County should go on record opposing this pipeline. The costs, the potential costs and damages far exceed the couple of little jobs that they might claim that we would get, and the need for this natural gas is in question. I went to the Southwest Florida, or the South Florida Water Management District meeting July 14th this summer, and by the way, I've got a guest column that's going to appear in the Riverland News on Thursday. They did take this excerpt out because they were trying to shorten it up. I tend to go long. But we got it reduced. And I didn't really like that they took this excerpt out, but I sort of transcribed it the best I could from the tape because there's no real transcription. But Jim Moran, who's the governing board member, asked, where's this pipeline going? Is it going to go directly to an FPL electricity generating plant, or is it going to be used for other purposes as well? Exported? Eric Olson, the attorney for Sable Trail with Hopping Green and Sam's in Tallahassee, says the pipeline is a transmission pipeline process. Different people can pay to put gas through the pipeline. I believe it is going to the Martin facility. It is one of the FPL uses, but that is the initial route of the pipeline. Jim Moran. But eventually, it is a commercial line that can sell the product to anyone it wants. And Eric Olson, if it subsequently had approvals to do that, yes. Well, the approval process for this pipeline is so full of holes, so full of omitted and inaccurate information, which, you know, I want to caution you. I know it says to stop, but there's a sinkhole, not only that karst window, which, you know, the responses Sable Trail had in June to some questions here, they say that that karst window occasionally ponds. Well, it has water in it 24/7 as long as we've been here, except in one extreme drought. And that is downhill from where the pipeline goes, and there's a well in between, which has a casing that's through the rock, and especially if this, the other pollutants, and if this gets switched over, major problem. But there's also a sinkhole on the route.
Bro, I've been lenient.
Okay. Well, okay.
I'm sorry.
But please consider passing a resolution against this and going on record against it while you can. I talked to Tracy about that other sinkhole before this meeting, and y'all better take a look at it, because the person that lived there before us says, oh yeah, that sinkhole, it goes directly to the aquifer. It's never held water.
Thank you, Ms. Barrow. Connie Bryant?
Well, I'd really like to give the rest of my time to Janet, but I'll go ahead and speak. My name is Connie Bryant. I live at 18507 Southwest 31st Street in Dunellen. I want to agree with her. I think it's very important that you should all go on record against this pipeline. This is not just a little pipe. I don't know if these people out here know. This is a 36-inch pipe carrying explosive methane, okay? It goes right through my neighborhood. There are hundreds of families living there, retired people and families with children. It goes right through my neighborhood. We have above ground valve a couple of blocks from my house. We're all within the explosion zone. The neighborhood next to me, Small Farms area, explosion zone. Juliet Falls, very popular golf course there. That's within the explosion zone. It goes by that karst window she's talking about, which is right next to High School Road, where all the county buses carry the kids to school. It's right next to the road. The pipeline is going between the road and that karst window. And I literally can throw a rock over to that karst window, which has always been full of water, back to the 50s. The pipeline then goes right behind our Dunellen High School and Dunellen Elementary School, which are both within the explosion zone, your county campground, your county new tuber exit. They're supposed to build an eco lodge over there, Satiki Village. All that is within the explosion zone, and that came from our fire chief. The explosion zone is 1 mile. The evacuation zone is 1.5 miles. The fire chief, there's no way they can even get close to it. You can't put it out with a water hose. You have to wait for the oil and gas people to finally get there to turn the valves off. And then it has to burn off. You really need to think about the path of this thing. I mean, it's dangerous. It's going behind the schools. It's going through several protected areas. Is it Marjorie Harris Carr protected area? This land was all set aside because it's special. There's a scrub jay, which is an endangered species, right by the compression station. I mean, there's so many things that we're going to lose in a state that people come to for its natural beauty. If this thing if a sinkhole falls under it, it's going through the most active sinkhole section probably in almost the entire world, of all places to put a 36-inch pipeline. One sinkhole, and you're going to have a rupture. And a rupture can shoot flames 300 miles into the air and affect 300 feet on either side. Just right there, plus the regular explosion zone. I mean, I just think you should go on record as against it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else in the public who would like to speak? That's everyone that signed up ahead of time. Come on down.
Greg Jenkins, 5660 139th Court.
Good morning, Mr. Jenkins.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm sorry I didn't sign up. I
It's
didn't
okay, you
find
don't
any
have
more
to.
papers out there. I got my pencil, but I didn't get a paper.
You're fine.
We've saved 3 more veterans since the last time I was here.
Very good.
We sent 2 of them home, and one of them we've got put up temporarily to try to get him to work back into the community. We got him a job, place to stay, and food to eat, and a hot shower. I've spoken to a number of deputies within the department, asked all of them. I go to community functions and community events and ask them who they call if they come across a homeless veteran. They don't know. They don't know who to call. So I'm gonna ask y'all, who do you call if you find a homeless veteran?
I'm gonna call my Veteran Services. I'm gonna call Hank Whittier with Vets Helping Vets. I'm gonna call Al Lugo out at the VFW Veterans Homes. I'm just gonna get on the phone and start making calls until I get somebody.
Okay, we did that.
Okay.
And I explained to you what transpired in my last meeting here. All right? There's nobody to help immediately. Veterans Home has 14-day application process in Fort McCoy. The Ritz has application process. VFW didn't have any money. I took the man to the Veterans Service Center, all those places that you just quoted, ma'am. And I'm not holding it against you.
I know.
I'm here to provide you a solution. I've sent you emails, and now I understand why I didn't get a response. It was brought up earlier. I couldn't understand why no one was responding. I've been to 4 meetings now. We have a solution. We have members of the community that have stepped up. I'm asking you all to do the same. Just email me. You all have my email address. Put somebody on it. Say, Greg, work with this guy. Because there's veterans out there dying every day. And there's homeless veterans that don't need to be homeless. They don't need to be. We can come up with a solution together. What we provide is an emergency response, initial response, so that if any person in this community or any member of this board or any law enforcement or emergency responders find a homeless veteran, they know exactly who to call. We have help immediately. Immediately. We'll send them to you. Pick him up, her up, put him in a shelter, not a shelter, but an actual dwelling where they have a roof over their head, a hot shower, food to eat, and transportation home or to a job, to anything we can do to help them out. Please help us, help them. I'm asking you again. Please, somebody contact me.
Very good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for what you're doing,
I'm
Mr.
sorry
Chair.
I went over. Thank
Oh,
you
you're
for
fine.
everything y'all do.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. But we have to have an emergency response. Because what happens is we pick them up, law enforcement or people in the community, they take them to the Ritz, they take them to Fort McCoy, and those people say, look, we have protocol. And then they're released back into these homeless camps and they're gone.
Right.
And we don't find them again until they're dead, or there's a crime committed, or something. We gotta get them off the street, and we gotta get them to shelter, and we gotta get them fed, and we gotta get them back into the community.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment portion of our meeting and go into item number 3 on our agenda.
I'll move the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Zalek to move the minutes. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next will be item number 4, our constitutional officers.
I'll move item 4A and 4B.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Moore to move item 4A and 4B. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next up on our agenda is item number 5, our Clerk of the Circuit Court. Good morning, Mr. Elsperman.
Morning, Madam Chair. Item 5A is the listing of the budget amendments as listed on the budget, or I mean on the agenda 1 through 4, please.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Zalek to move items 5A1 through 5A4. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We've already gone through our public hearing, so that'll bring us down into our consent agenda. I'll start to my left this morning with Commissioner Moore. Is there anything you'd like to pull?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner McLean?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Zalek?
Yeah, I wanted the 7E1.
7E?
E1.
E1. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Commissioner Arnett?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
I'll
I'll
move
look
the
for a
balance.
motion for the
Second.
balance. Motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Moore to move the balance of the agenda. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. And that will bring us to item 7E1. Yes, Commissioner Zalek.
Madam Chair, I just wanted some information on the coverings. I didn't get to see that particular part of it. Do you have Do you or
I'm sure Jim
Jim?
can provide you with that information.
Morning, Commissioners. Jim Coulard, Parks and Recreation Director.
Hey, Jim, I just wanted some more information. I thought it was kind of a neat story that we're able to do this year, or next year, I guess.
Right.
Technically, but the construction of the covered spectator seating, and so
Yes,
what's
sir.
kind of the, just give us a little more information about that, what the process is, how that's going to help our tournaments.
Good question. Right now, the Rotary Sportsplex, the primary quad where we have all these really big tournaments, is just rather piecemealed together. And what we're getting ready to do is really start unveiling our master plan for that park, where we start little improvements along the way. This is going to get rid of some of the old wooden pole shade structures that have just worn out, the old spectator seatings, the dugout reconfiguration, everything to really help enhance the visitor experience. The fields are looking good. Everything's working that way. So now we're starting to work on our handicap improvements and everything there. So these are some of the type of improvements that we see are important to help keep our place in the market, to keep these tournaments coming back.
Sure. And what does the covered seating look like? How many people on each side? And
Right now, we're looking at somewhere about 50 to 100, depends on how much space we have. Once we get permission to proceed, then we're going to start doing our final design, and we're going to maximize our capabilities in that area.
Is that a how is it roofed? Or
It'll be a fabric, a shade structure fabric that you see sometimes over playgrounds or other type of spectator seating. It'll have actually wind load certified type of metal structures with a cloth shade structure.
Okay. So that's not going to prevent rain or any of those kind of issues?
It could. It depends on the fabrics that we pick. It'll help disperse a little bit of it, but we already have some rather big pavilions in that area where crowds move to in inclement weather.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move for approval.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Zalek with a second by Commissioner McLean to move item 7E1. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. That'll bring us into item number 8 on our agenda this morning. Wow, Mr. Minter, we have nothing from you today.
Nothing.
Well, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
And that will bring us into item number 9, and we will hear from our acting county administrator, Miss Jeannie Rickman.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I have a couple of updates. One is from Nick Zoller, our Public Relations and Communications Director, on the County Connection update.
Good morning, Commissioners. So on the County Connection this week, we highlighted the County Commission approving Molly's Law, and we had Molly in the audience today. So that ordinance will help to prevent animal abuse in our county. We also highlighted the community planning open house that's set for October 27th, where residents are invited to learn from growth services professionals about zoning, planning, water resources, flood zones, and the drones that are used in planning. And also highlighted was the half-price adoption fees that are available for dogs through Marion County Animal Services through the end of this month. Any residents that are interested in receiving this twice-monthly e-publication can sign up at marioncountyfl.org or via the sign-in sheet in the lobby. And I also wanted to note that there are now 11,000 subscribers to this publication, and to give credit to Elaine McLean for her hard work on this.
Very good. Thank you.
Commissioners, as you know, staff's been working on the administrative strategic plan since June, and today I wanted to give you an update on the current status. In this 5-year plan, we are reviewing the services, identifying challenges and opportunities that would require special attention, and establish the organizational framework and expectations that will guide us as we implement Empowering Marion for Success. In doing so, we've established core values and guiding principles that form our mission. So we expect to present the completed plan during the month of December, and we'll present to you at that time. And then we will also, we're in the planning stages of a kickoff event also to roll out the plan to our employees. That would begin the first of the year. So,
very good.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
All righty. That will take us into item number 10.
I'll move 10A and 10B.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion to move 10A and 10B by Commissioner Zalek with a second by Commissioner Arnett. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. That's going to bring us down to item number 11. Item 11A is a request approval to schedule and advertise a public hearing to consider the amendment of an ordinance for Kearney Island Recreation and Conservation Area on Tuesday, November 1st, 2016 at 10 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Moore. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Item 11B is a request approval to schedule and advertise 2 public hearings to consider the adoption of a proposed 180-day moratorium on applications for new medical marijuana dispensing facilities in the unincorporated areas of Marion County. The first hearing on Tuesday, November 1st, 2016 at 10 a.m., or immediately following previously scheduled public hearing, and the second hearing on Tuesday, November the 15th, 2016 at 10 a.m. or on Wednesday, November 16th, 2016 at 5:30 p.m.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
on that last item, the way the statute provides for these kinds of hearings, you're required to have the second hearing after 5 unless by supermajority vote the board decides to have it earlier in the day.
Okay. All right.
So you can, in other words, if you want to have it at November 15th, 2016 at 10 a.m., as long as 4 or 5 of you vote to do that, you can do that.
Okay, great. And then, Mr. Mentor, if we choose to extend that period, we can do that during the public hearing, correct?
To continue the proceeding for it, or?
No,
extend
to
the date.
extend
Oh, the 180 days,
yeah,
you mean?
that time frame.
You could extend it, I think in Hillsborough County, they actually reduced it from 180 days, but.
If anything to do with the time period, we can handle in the public
You
hearing.
can do that at that time, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion for approval of those dates, Commissioners?
I'm going to move approval of the dates. And again, I think that, given that, it's 2 public hearings, and obviously we think there's probably going to be a lot of work that has to be done at state level, as it relates to counties. So, I think that I'm not opposed to having them both at 10 o'clock, or whatever.
I'm not either.
So I don't know if there's.
So you're moving to 10 o'clock?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Zalek to approve the dates as Tuesday, November the 1st, 2016 at 10 a.m., and then the second hearing on Tuesday, November 15th, 2016 at 10 a.m.
Again, I think that there will be bigger conversations to be had, down the
Correct.
road and public hearings and some of that stuff. So I don't know, it seems more, just something that needs to be taken care of at this point. So that's why I'm saying, I don't know if it's necessary to do one after 5:30.
Very good. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is 11C, and that is a request approval to schedule and advertise a public hearing to consider adoption of notice of intent to authorize use of the uniform collection method for non-ad valorem assessments on Tuesday, December the 6th at 2016 at 10 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner McLean with a second by Commissioner Zalek. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. That's going to move us into item number 12 on our agenda, and I'm going to start to my right today with Commissioner Arnett.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Zalek?
Commissioners, just obviously there's been a lot in the newspaper and stuff on the kiosks and kind of bringing back our crime prevention fund. We've got a huge report to kind of skim through, get through, look through. At the end of the day, I think what comes back though is, although certainly there was a criminal process and by which some of the sets of those were procured, and quite frankly, $250,000 of that asset is turned into scrap metal at this point, not usable. But there are some units that are usable. I've talked with the county administrator, talked with the sheriff, and I think that we're not ready to do anything at the moment, but I'd like to bring back a plan a little bit later on this year probably, and making those, some of the usable ones, possibly putting them at some of the community facilities. That would be more of an informational process, broadening the scope a little bit and figuring out how to get through that process. So that was a thought. Wanted to get some information from you commissioners as what you thought, where we should go. If there's any opinions or more pieces on this information which you'd like to see happen, I just want to know so I can make sure we get them done.
Well, I mean, if we can take a negative and turn it into a positive,
That's
I
what we're
think we
gonna try to do,
definitely need
yeah.
to try to do that, so.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you so much, Commissioners.
All right, Commissioner
Appreciate
Flame. Commissioner Moore?
One thing I'd like to bring up, see Mr. Brown's in the audience. I've talked with him about the Withlacoochee Regional Planning Commission's old building and see if there's any appetite on the board of using it for a community facility. I had spoke with Mr. Brown, Monier. I was actually going to wait till Monier got back from his vacation, but since Mr. Brown's here today, I was going to bring it up today. But where they're wanting to do basically a community center to help the west side of the county with a community center, basically similar to what we do out in the Shores Resource Center to help people get jobs, provide trainings and such, and use that building, for a nonprofit facility of some kind to help our residents on the west side. I was going to see if there's, but basically what the rest of the board thought about that concept. And then, of course, if everybody's kind of open to it, we'd go back to Mr. Brown and his crew and have them set up a plan and show us exactly how they're going to do basically a business plan to bring back to us. But see if, before he does all that work, make sure that we're kind of open to different uses of that building.
Commissioner, right now, we're currently in discussion with FWC
Right.
for them to lease that building.
Right.
Obviously, that hadn't been quite finalized. There's still some details to it, but, and, they came to us some time ago, several months, way
Yeah.
back, when the building pretty much
Like a
came
couple
up.
of years ago.
That's been a while, I'm just saying. So, I mean, if something weren't to if something doesn't happen along that line, then, certainly then there's then there's room to have another discussion. But I feel fairly confident FWC is going to take the building. So, and that would be revenue.
Also, maybe we could instruct staff, find maybe a different facility or find something over on that west side to help the community on that side to try and, help because they have their intent is great, great heart for the community.
We can explore those opportunities.
Why don't you work with?
Do we have any other?
I don't think we have any
That's why I
property
don't
over in
know.
that area.
That's where,
Have you talked?
Yeah.
I
I've
don't
talked
know
to city
at this
council,
point.
they were not.
City would seem
Yeah.
like that's a better,
Yeah, I've talked to
appropriate.
them, they did not have the openness in my little bit of a discussion, so that's where I was gonna see if we were.
I think at this point,
Do they feel
Commissioner,
like they have enough facilities there with what they're
They
currently
think they-
operating multiple facilities, right?
They felt like they were already doing enough, and there's still people falling through the gaps is the problem.
right.
Yeah.
And I know Mr. Brown, and I know that if he's working on something, then it's going to be for a good cause, and he would do a good job. But unfortunately, I can't, off the top of my head, think of any other county-owned property in that area. So I think it would be more appropriate if it's
Or the
something
city
that you're
council.
interested in doing, that maybe you personally, could try to go out there and help them locate a facility.
Okay.
I mean, just because the county doesn't have, to my knowledge,
No, that's what I
we
thought.
don't have any, and we don't have anything else over in that area.
Okay, that's what I was saying,
Yeah.
see how open we were to, because Fish and Wildlife I keep hearing about, but that's been over a couple
We
years now.
have a contract with them.
But they haven't,
Yeah, it's fairly close. I
fairly,
mean,
it's fairly close,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to Monier, he didn't make it sound like it was
No,
real
no, no, no,
close.
no.
Okay.
There was the contract's been back and forth. The last
We've
thing.
worked through all the issues.
Yeah,
on-
we've worked, there were some issues with it. We sat down, we were on I've been involved, we were on a conference call on it, and we got it down to, then there was one item, I think, that came back that we still weren't satisfied with, and that's been, last I knew, that was being discussed, and we were supposed to get an answer on that. And other than that, I mean, that was, but for the most part, it's.
Okay, so
Yeah,
then,
it's-
okay,
yeah.
because last time I talked to Monier, he sounded like it wasn't gonna go through, so I was saying, hey, this building might be available. then.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
At this point, Commissioners, the agreement is under review, and we anticipate bringing it back on the November 1st agenda.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
Just thank all of our county employees for the great job they do every day.
All right. Y'all are gonna get lucky, I'm not gonna talk today, so. Woo-hoo. All right, is there anyone else in the public who would like to speak? Come on forward. You have to state your name and address again, Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, ma'am. Greg Jenkins, 5660 Northeast 139th Court. With regard to that particular topic in which you were discussing, is there a possibility the state may have maybe some land over there, and we can look at that, is what I suggested. And in dealing with the FWC, being that's a state organization, they may not have a facility that's adequate for their operation, but they may be able to swap something like that.
So what, Mr. Jenkins, just since we're talking about it, what's happened is currently they have a small building next door to the WRPC building. That there's housing 12 or 15 people in that. I don't know if you're familiar with that little building. It's full, and then they actually have 2 other satellite offices here in Marion. They have 28 officers total in Marion County. So what they're trying to do is get everything into that next door and into there. So they're not moving out of their building though.
Oh, that was my next point.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm familiar with them.
No, well, just so you know, we had that discussion. In other words, that was the first thing we said. Are y'all moving out of your other building? Are we swapping? What are we doing?
Exactly.
You know, that kind of thing. So we've had all those discussions.
Okay.
I did have a discussion, Mr. Brown, I had a discussion with the mayor, and I was under the impression that they had some property. There's all kinds of possibilities. I mean, I think, but, you know, I think it's a matter of fleshing them out, so.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Is this open additional public comment period?
2 minutes again.
Okay, Janet Barrow, PO Box 370, Dunellen. I want to go back to that South Florida Water Management District meeting where Eric Olson, the attorney for Sable Trail, was responding to questions from Jim Moran, the governing board member, and he asked, if we don't grant the easement today because they were seeking easements through conservation lands down there that had already been mitigation lands from other development. Anyway, DEP can acquire the easement through eminent domain. Eric Olson responds, not DEP, but Sable Trail could, yes. And Jim Moran says, oh, who? And Eric Olson says, Sable Trail Pipeline, the company. And he asks, they can institute eminent domain? Eric Olson responds, yes, they have a certificate authorized. They have the power of federal eminent domain via the certificate authorized by the Federal Energy Review Commission, and they can and have filed suit in federal court to acquire some remaining interests in the state of Florida that have not yet been acquired voluntarily. Well, that's by bullying, actually. That's my comment. It's not voluntarily. People don't want this. And Jim Moran responds, that's chilling to me as a landowner. Now, this eminent domain question, the authority that's been given through the Natural Gas Act, it's coming into question. People are getting mad, and there is a response among the general public, and I want y'all to be aware of this. There are a lot of issues that are coming up from these gas pipelines going through the United States, and the Dakota Access Pipeline, right now there's an encampment up there, and that prompted an article like, this is BTU Analytics. I got this through Seeking Alpha, which is a stock advisory kind of site that I get notices from. And in this article, it says, projects that interact with affluent communities bring with them the added risk of vocal opposition. And then it says, money not only brings additional political influence, but also provides people with the time and means to pursue causes, in this case, environmental and anti-hydrocarbon causes. Well, rural America is under attack by these pipelines. They see large tracts of land, they see lower income communities, rural lands like in Marion County, and they're under attack. And there is a response, and right now, it's hitting Florida because they've started construction, and people are out videotaping and filing complaints because they're violating the terms of their permits and such. Anyway, watch the news. It will be increasing because I see it all over Florida, and the news is not covering the Dakota Access Pipeline encampment very well. But anyway, I just wanted to tip you off on that.
Thank you, Ms. Barrow. Is there anyone else? All right, seeing none, we will be in recess until we come back for our meeting for the Marion County CRA at 1:30.